This is Joe Collins. Today is May 2nd, 2014. I am interviewing
Lyle
Lyle
Morrison.
Morrison,
Right.
a longtime parishioner at Immaculate Heart of Mary Parish in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Thank you for speaking with me today. All right. Please
First of all,
restate your
thank you, Joe.
Oh, you're welcome.
Doing right.
Please restate your name and tell what year you joined Immaculate Heart of Mary.
Well, I think going back, that I think I got 1958. Prior to that time, I had been at St. Francis. My parents were living at St. Francis, and there were parishioners there, and they not only had myself but my two sisters, and it was a very poor and very few people in it at that time. However, I got in the Holy Name Society, and it was a very active society. So we decided that what we needed was a major fund drive. And we got some help from the bishop. We had a phenomenal pastor, and Father Schultz, Monsignor Schultz. And so we had a drive, and we raised enough money to build a beautiful new church. And our family finished out their elementary school right at St. Francis. I myself was pretty active. We had the only two sports we had were basketball and football. And football was very different because it was six-man football. And six-man football had just been approved in some of the western states, and somehow the people who were about to build Rogers High School, they looked into it, and as a result, we had like an 8 parish league, and we had a tremendous coach, Ted Nicolette, former Catholic Central guy, and we were undefeated except for one. We played Oakdale, a lot of those rather small schools, but anyway, we had a great time. Can I add an addendum to that? And that is that out of our six-man football team, 5 of us went down and made the varsity at Catholic Central, and then I finished my football at Catholic Central. And I also played basketball and baseball. I had 3 years of football, basketball, and baseball, which was great. And I played with great players, and it was just a wonderful experience.
Yeah. All right. Please describe your family at the time. Names of spouse as well as names and ages of your children.
Well, at that time, I had little ones. I believe Christine was probably 10 years old. Susan would have been. All my kids were 2 years apart, and I had 4 kids, 4 children. They all end up graduating, going to Catholic Central and graduating, and now we're all in the world, all doing well. And I attribute that to the education that we got all the way along the line.
Did they go to IHM too?
Patty, the youngest one, went to IHM. No, wait a minute. They all went to IHM. And I remember that so clearly because of Easter Sunday, and I've got pictures of the 4 of them all dressed up in their Easter outfits. And no, they were. That's where they were. They were doing okay.
Who was the pastor when you joined? Please discuss your relationship with him and give your impressions of his role in the parish.
Well, the first pastor when I was here was the one who founded the church, Father Kilgore. And he came in, and he was actually financed by the Dominicans, but we needed a church bad, and about 140 families went together and raised like $161,000. And so we were able to break ground, and it was a cinder block church. Nothing fancy. When you looked at it, there was cinder blocks. But as time went on and more people were become knowledgeable about everything we've got to offer here, the population began to grow, and with it, complete remodeling of the old church. But more importantly, from that point on, there was a lot of activity in building the parish up to what it is today.
What do you remember most about Father Kilgore?
About Father Kilgore? Father Kilgore was about 5'6", and he was a dynamo. He was, I don't think I would be concerned if I thought that anybody else could have done what he did. The biggest thing he did was sell the people of the parish to be on himself. He became a very, very liked priest. And in fact, at one point in time, the Oblates decided to take him and put him some other place. And I think it was through the uproar of everybody else that 2 years later he came back. And then that began the first restructure of the parish. And it started small, maybe an extra building or something. He had more classrooms, but he really was terrific. Now, I'd like to say one thing, and that is that when this parish started, all our priests were from the Oblate order, O-B-L-A-T-E, order. And that went on for a long, long time, until finally we had Father Leonard Sedlick come in, a very young priest. And Father Sedlick was liked immediately. Young guy. And but there was another priest that I have to mention, that's Father Flater. Father Flater came in probably about 1975, I would say, and just a very, very lovable priest, but also a very active priest. And he, because of him, and the fact that we had bingo, and bingo was an income-producing thing for the parish, Father Flater decided to earmark that money to add more amenities to the parish itself. He enlarged the school, and he built the first one of these, much smaller, but I call it a field house. What do you call it here?
I don't really know,
Anyway, we'll call it the big gym or something like that. And so he took that to bingo money and then started the remodeling of the parish. Marvelous man. He left us for 2 years at one time and then came back, and even more energized by what he felt the parishioners would take as far as asking them for more money to enlarge the church. We bought the greenhouses on the west side of the church, which gave us more parking. He was a remarkable man, and I still communicate with him to this day. We exchange Christmas cards and birthday cards.
Tell about the atmosphere of the school. Any principals and or teachers who made impressions on your children?
Well, repeat that, would you, Joe?
Yeah. Tell about the atmosphere of the school. Any principals and or teachers who made impressions on your children?
Well, first of all, this parish was upbeat from the very start. This is a remarkable parish for the people in it. who are consistent, that consistently respond to any need, even one that would affect their pocketbook. If I can digress just a minute, we just had a very successful Hearts and Hands campaign where we raised an amount of money which I never thought we would. But on a smaller basis, what Father Flater did, he did the same thing. He challenged the people with things that they could visibly see and say, that's good, that's good.
What activities and groups did you get involved with at IHM? Please go through them one at a time and give your early memories of what the group did, people you met through the group, and how that group helped IHM to grow.
Well, what I'm probably most known at is I was the greeter for the parish picnic for 25 years. And that was a lot of fun. We used to have a big church picnic out to Dutton Park in Caledonia, and it was really well attended, really well attended. Well, anyway, I had to get dressed up in whatever, a clown outfit or something, and I had a microphone, and I also had very good glasses. And so if Joe and his family would get out of the car, I would call them in. I was saying, "Here comes Joe and his family." And so I did that for 25 years, and I was sorry when I had to give it up. The other thing, I was one of the founders of the golf league, and I played in that for many, many years until I joined a country club. It's a great thing for particularly a new parishioner to come in and meet all these great guys that have only one thing, and that is play golf, whatever your score is. Just have a good time. Yeah, I would say one other thing. I've been involved in just about every building project in the parish, in one capacity or another, but particularly in the building that we are in now. Father Flater was here, and he believed, again, in improving the physical capacity of the parish, which made it great for parents because they could have more opportunity to see their own children play basketball or volleyball or whatever. I think it may have been about that time that we built our football field. And then our football team got in the 8th grade and under league. And the team was good, but the coaches were better. That was Mr. Rosenbach and Mr. Leroy and Mr. Tierney. They were the coaches, and it was a lot of fun.
Tell about specific memories you have about new things at IHM, such as new buildings, new programs, and new ways of doing things.
Well, foremost is the Hearts and Hands that we recently had, because the amount of money that we raised was just amazing. Everybody in this parish is, I don't know too many people who were critical of our facilities at any point in time. But when the plans for the use of the money for the Hearts and Hands was revealed, it was overwhelmingly, this is the next step. And that money is in constant use here. You just did some great remodeling here. Of course, what is the room now that we have where we go to have to get donuts after church? I'm just going to call it the donut place.
Yeah.
But what it does do, though, it's because it's rather large, even in inclement weather, you see whole families just walking over there and getting a donut and having some coffee. It all adds up to more parish camaraderie. This has always been a parish that likes other parishioners.
What's different at IHM now that you miss about former times?
Well, I would say the biggest thing that I miss are other parishioners who are no longer with us. At my age and the age of others that are being interviewed in the same day, we've been here a long time. And we have sort of a feeling of, that's my church, you know, and so I'm always interested in, and we'll do anything we can to make it better if that's what's needed. I think one of the big things that happened, and I'm going back a little while, is when the oblate priests who were our priests from the very going pulled out only because of the fact that they didn't have enough priests to go around. And so then came the diocesan priesthood. And the first one was Father Leonard Sudlick. When Father Sudlick came to us, he was the youngest priest we've ever had. He was a terrific person for the parish. He was with us for 5 years, and it was very good. And I still see Father Sedlick, and he still asks, "How's things at IHM?"
In seventh grade.
But I do want to emphasize, though. Oh, one thing that I want to mention to you that Father. Another priest, Father, oh gosh, what's his name? Joyce, Father Joyce. He was our assistant priest. He and our secretary, Mary Regan, decided that we should have a big party the Friday before Lent started. And Tewksbury is the home of the Oblates. That's where their seminary is. That's where for the older Oblates are. And on one anniversary, I can't remember what it was, we welcomed all of the old Oblates that had ever been here. And they were here for 3 days, and it was just a great thing to see all these priests. But as far as priests, the one priest that I really think put a footprint on this parish more than anybody is Father Flater. He just had this thing about, let's move forward, let's get going and get things done.
Have the priests and or parishioners helped you through tough times?
Well, I think that in general, the people of the parish are very empathetic about loss. When a parishioner dies, there'll be quite a crowd at the funeral home, and they'll be well done. The pews will be full. But you know, something that's been put in, and that is the dinner. I can't think of the name, but the dinner that this parish puts on right here after a funeral.
You did a good job.
And so all the bereaved and all the relatives that came in from out of town and all that have a lovely meal. They have the opportunity to meet maybe members of the family that weren't to get there in time for the funeral itself. It's been a great thing, and it's very, for somebody who has lost one, it's a terrific thing to ease the loss by seeing all these nice parishioners over there, again, extending their sympathies and realistic sympathies about the loss of a valued parishioner. Am I talking too much?
No, it's fine. We've got like 50 minutes.
You better cross that one off.
Discuss how your life has been enriched by being a member of IHM.
Well, the first thing about enriching me was seeing my own children accepted in a way that they were. They loved IHM. I had four girls, all 2 years apart. They all went to IHM. And they, a very important thing is that their time at IHM enhanced their anticipation of going to Catholic Central. They participated to the point that they could. None of them were very athletic, but they played volleyball and things like that. And as far as my wife and I, it was terrific because they enjoyed Immaculate Heart so much, and their classmates. They were pretty easy to handle. You know, they loved the whole atmosphere.
Is there anything else you'd like to say about IHM Parish?
Well, Joe, you've been generous in your questions. I think I would simply say that, in my opinion, IHM is the friendliest parish in the diocese. I like the idea that we now have greeters at the door. We have excellent people who do the readings at Mass. We have, again, everything about IHM is positive in my mind. I've never had a negative. And that I have so many people who are still living in this parish, like the other ones that are being questioned by other young people like you. And I'm sure they're going to affirm what I said, and that is that IHM is a pretty doggone good place to be.
Thank you for speaking with me today on behalf of the parish. Thank you for all you've done to make Immaculate Heart of Mary such a wonderful parish.
Well, Joe, thank you very much for being my interviewer. You were concise, and you didn't frown when I said anything, so I'm very happy about that.